Hey guys, it's Brendan Borman back from their 270 video. Today is another edition of the 270 Power Rankings. This ballot is an official vote toward the community rankings hosted by Jason Casey. While I understand that the rankings in this is very subjective, my goal was to avoid a popularity contest and include as many folks as possible. Let me be the first to say this is not a perfect system, but I promise that I tried my absolute best to be subjective. What I did was I calculated rankings in a multi-step process that took me 4 hours. First, I established a baseline by placing players into tiers, prioritizing Rick Whitmar's leaderboard score that has already been established. To qualify for the S tier, players had to have a minimum of 1,300 points, and then from there, I had the ability to award bonuses based off of community tournaments, finishing wins, and then adjust up to 1 to 3 spots up or down, depending on my personal opinion. So not too much, but it did give me a little bit of leeway. Starting at 80, I had Patrick Goss, who has had success against me personally, beating me in 2 of the 6 matches we have played. Eduardo Ochoa is a solid player, and he uses his cautiousness to strike at the end of games. He comes in at 79. Kenny Tan has made serious noise recently, upsetting Tossin Lake, and is sure to be on the rise if he continues to participate in community tournaments. Houston Perry is very active, and his leaderboard score is a direct reflection of that. Timothy Yates is someone who I bumped up a few spots from his score because I have seen the potential. Yates comes in at 77. Dean Zelenik is a lounge veteran who is dangerous at multiplayer, and while I have not played him recently at 1v1, Dean checked in at 76. Noah Bieber is someone I need to learn a little bit more about. I don't believe I've played him before, and I did not adjust him personally, although I have received feedback from the 1 or 2 people who I did show this ranking to beforehand that Noah is vastly underrated. So I do apologize, Noah. There is always next month. You feel free to try to prove me wrong. Following Noah is Will Vanzadale, who is a very solid player. His sheer number of games has led him to a quality leaderboard score and is an easy addition to this list. Peyton Swearinger has potential to move up quite substantially, but he comes in at 73 in large part due to his lower leaderboard score. Bryce Hawkins is a top 50 player who has suffered in scoring due to the lack of consistency. He's beat top players like Bart Childers, but he also has losses like to Chase Moss. Chase has gotten a lot better, but I hope Bryce enjoys his brief hiatus from the game. Steven Wagner was a clear spot ahead of Bryce and only 1 spot behind Ismail. Ismail checks in at 70 overall and is a talented player, versatile, and is dangerous in primary mode and in multiplayer. Coming off his victory over me in the MLK tournament, next is Ryan Stanley. Cody Shepard, a RHL caliber player, comes in at 68 overall. And then finally, to round out Tier C, I have Fred Banks. Yang Gang himself is a formidable opponent. Tier B starts with Michael McLennan, Raymond Barroy, and John Romine. Raymond and John especially have shown improvements in their games in recent weeks. 62 belongs to Dan Warner, and John Bardsley checks in at 61. The next 33 players were all separated by less than 0.2 of a point. 58 through 56 is the trio of Rene Lopez, Owen Moran, and Anderson Freer. All but Owen were hurt by the lack of games played. 55 belongs to Christina Grace Wheeler, who I know personally how dangerous she can be. If she played more community tournaments, she would be definitely ranked higher. Fellow 270 commissioner Trevor Albert is only 1 spot ahead of Pete Texana, who they were separated by 1/100th of a point. Gary V is 52 and is up and coming, only 1 spot behind Jeremy Cooper Sperber, who is maybe 51 but number 1 in our hearts. Tough draws for Jeremy have hurt him, but look for a rebound next month. 50 through 47 were Andrew Miller, Rennie Septiana, Joel Pavato, and Richard Altfeld. The most surprising in this group was Richard, who has fallen but can easily climb back up if he gets more involved. Adam Zatcher was someone who I bumped up a few spots on my own to 46 overall, but I just could not get him past the enigma that is Daniel Warren. How the mighty have fallen. Daniel checks in at 45, 1 spot ahead of Leonard Takeo, who has a quality leaderboard score, and I look forward to learning more about him. I do prefer Taco, but it's okay. I was surprised to see Zach Richwalski all the way down at 43, but when you see the quality players ahead of him, you can understand how difficult this process really was. Anna Gainesfield, or Two Part Ohio, is another player hurt by the lack of participation. Her standing in the power rankings last month, plus her consistent play, has placed her smack dab in the middle of Tier B. 42 and 41 are giant killers, and I say that in a good way. Joshua Neptune, Nicholas Sloan, they can beat anyone on any given day. 39 is Larete Costa, who has fallen in recent months. Larete, not because he's gotten worse, but many players have matched his skill level thanks to 270 videos, the streams. Players are getting better faster. 38 is the infamous Eugene V. Debs, and 37 is the vastly underrated Dennis Muxlow. Dennis has had some tough draws in tournaments, and he is someone who I definitely consider to be a top 25, top 20 player. Colton Conroy and James Bainland come in at 36 and 35 respectively, each having success against big players, and I consider them to be top 30 as well. Tyler DeMora is at 34, one spot behind the defending RHL Congress champion Joshua Fisher. And Tier A starts with Adam Montgomery at 32. Adam is widely considered a top 20 player, top 10 player by many, but his inactiveness has caused his leaderboard score to slide. Alex Eastman lands at 31 and is someone who I need to learn a little bit more about. Marcus Amendola is 30, and I did adjust him 2 spots up, one for each win he has over me. Sam Reisborg is someone who I've never played, but I've been impressed from afar. It is showing in the college sports run tournaments. And Conrad Scheffler is one player I thought would land in the top 20 and just did not because of his figures. However, Conrad and the next 2 players are interchangeable in my mind. So Micah Moen, Evan Jansen, who Evan, hot off his victory over me in the MLK tournament, find themselves at 27 and 26. At 25 is Haseeb Muhammad, who has been very impressive, has a very impressive leaderboard score, and if it was not for the bonus points allotted, Haseeb would definitely have been 10 spots higher. Richard Gadd, who comes in at 24, and Rishav Bahardwaz at 23. In prior power rankings, I did not rank Rishav or any player who've manipulated the system or cheated in any way, but because he was reinstated to the RHL, I decided to also reinstate Rishav. The next 3 players were separated by 1/100th of a point, and that includes Scott Etchecherry, Khalil Blumen, and Brent Cornwall. I could see all 3 cracking the top 15 next month, but Chris Lassinger finds himself at 19, 1 spot ahead of Dylan Hales, who made deep runs in the ATP and the World Cup. Daniel Smith is at 17, and he wants me to remind everyone that he is ranked higher than Daniel Warren. Siraj Thomas comes in at 16, and probably will win Survivor if you don't vote him out. Jeff Ray holding steady at 15, and only 0.25 spots out of 11. That's how close 15 through 11 were. Zach Algaze making his top 15 debut. At number 14 overall, 1 spot ahead of Tyler DeBrola. The President Camacho himself is 1 spot ahead of Bart Childers, who did qualify for 10th, and I moved 2 players ahead of him in the top 10. So let's look at that. So David Robinson slides in at 11, and Guillermo Havia coming in at number 10. The next 3 players all had identical scores, and so I went from hottest to less hot, starting with Eric York at number 9, myself, Brendan Borman, at number 8, and then the only man to beat Javier Rodriguez recently who did it twice, Rick Whitmar. Finally, rounding out the A tier is Sapun Leonage, who is fantastic about beating players he should beat and always hanging around games against top competitors. But now we move into the S tier. S for Supreme starts off with number 5, George Fry, the surgeon. He will likely climb as the RHL starts up and his involvement increases, but George at number 5. Tossin Lake, last month's number 1, fell from 1 to 4, but is still world class. Tossin is someone who always looks to stay in form and play tons of practice matches. Look for him to stay as a mainstay in the top 10, hopefully the top 5, but that's where we find Tossin today. Troy Moore, hot off his RHL Season 2 title, checks in at number 3. He actually came in 1 spot behind Tossin in my initial rankings when I took away the names, but when I plugged the names back in, I felt it was appropriate to flip-flop those guys because of their head-to-head in the RHL Season 2 finals. Troy, I know, is someone who's also taken a bit of a break, and depending on his involvement in the coming weeks or coming months, I may adjust his ranking, but he's a great guy, and I definitely wanted to give him recognition for his accomplishments. He actually asked me not to rank him, but I felt that this ranking was appropriate, so congratulations on your top 5 ranking. Troy Moore coming in at number 3. Number 2 is Jason Casey, who finally got the Tossin Lake monkey off his back and won the World Cup hosted by Anderson Freer. He has gone on to win, several tournaments throughout his 270 playing career and gone deep in several big tournaments recently. And honestly, he is truly deserving of the #1 ranking. But there is no denying Javier Rodriguez this month. Javier has won the largest tournament in the lounge in his lounge's history, the ATP tournament. He won the Round Table by Daniel Smith, which is the no bonus tournament. He's placed in many tournaments. He's still alive in many tournaments. He won the 50 States tournament. He's gone deep in the Tournament of Champions. And on his way to the top, he's defeated many top players. It's okay if you disagree with my rankings, but let me know in the comments what my biggest error was. I've spent a lot of time going into this. I know it's scientific but not perfect, and I hope to make some improvements next month. If you have not yet hit that subscribe button, do it. It'll help me out. And until next time, this is Brendan Borman saying thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next 270 video.